chat. I'm located outside of Baltimore, Maryland, on the East Coast in the United States. Where are you? Somewhere in the US or maybe somewhere else around the globe? Go ahead and put it into the chat. All right, it's really great to have you all here. So let's get started. Here's why asking for help keeps you as the default parent. When you say, "Can you help with dinner?" or "I need you to help with the kids' schedules this weekend," you're actually communicating, "This is my responsibility. I'm the manager. You're the assistant. I'll keep the mental load of noticing and planning. You just execute." Your partner becomes a task taker, not an owner. I learned this firsthand during my first marriage when we had 3 very busy school-age kids. At that time, I would rather add more to my plate than risk overloading my partner. By the time I'd ask for help, I was already drowning. And yet, I would just ask for help with transportation. I made the battle plan of where everyone needs to be, what time, what did they need to have with them, who was going to pick them up, etc., etc., etc. And I just asked my partner to be the taxi cab. Here's the real problem. Communication changes what someone knows to do, not who's responsible for remembering it needs to happen and how to do it. That's a system problem, not a communications problem. But there's a better way. And I first got turned on to this better way reading a book called Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. You want to be able to transfer full ownership to your partner, not delegate execution. I'll say that again. The goal is to delegate, transfer full ownership of kid or household responsibilities, not delegate execution. So let's do a quick check. Are you currently the default parent who holds the mental load for most family responsibilities and household tasks? Drop yes or no in the chat. I quite honestly remember the moment when I realized I was the default parent. It wasn't necessarily something that I signed up for, but I realized that I had assumed the role and my partner had very willingly agreed to let me fulfill it. So I'm seeing a lot of yeses. And if you're watching the replay, be sure to answer this question for yourself. So if help doesn't work, what does? This is where the NPE framework comes in. It's a framework that changes everything. So mental load is comprised of noticing that something needs to be done, planning, outlining the steps to get it done, that's P. E is executing, actually getting it done. Let me review that. N is noticing, seeing what needs to happen. P equals planning, outlining the steps. And then E equals execution, actually doing it. Most likely, you only delegate the E. You keep the N and the P. And that is why you're always exhausted. So here's what changes when you transfer all 3 to your partner. Let's look at bedtime. They notice, that it's 7:45. They plan the sequence, teeth brushing, maybe a bath, reading a book, and then they execute it all. Maybe school forms. Your partner knows the deadline, plans how to get the information, completes the form, and then returns it to the kid's backpack. One more, pet care. Your partner notices when food is low, they schedule the grooming appointments, they handle everything related to your pet. Quick poll. When you delegate to your partner, are you just requesting help with execution while you keep the noticing and the planning? Drop yes or no in the chat. Do you just delegate the execution and keep the noticing and the planning? Yes or no? For sure, I kept all the N and the P. All of it. It was no wonder that I was overwhelmed, exhausted, and something not surprising, getting resentful. So before we transfer full ownership of a particular domain to your partner, there's a critical conversation that needs to happen first. And that's the minimum standard of care conversation. You and your partner for a particular domain need to agree on what is good enough for the outcome, not the method. So example, bedtime is at 8:30. Good enough would be reading a story instead of maybe taking a bath. Again, both are preferable, but the minimum standard of care, brushing teeth, reading a story. Here's another one, just trying to get your child fed dinner. Good enough is that it's on time. That might be more important. Good enough, minimum standard of care, and perfect nutrition. Here are some domains that you might consider transferring. There's two different categories. One is logistical and the other is relational. So logistical can include morning routine. One parent owns waking up through departure. One parent owns bedtime routine. Everything from wind down, teeth brushing, story reading, et cetera, to lights out. One partner maybe owns the domain of yard and outdoor spaces. Relational domains could include date night, being responsible for planning the activity, arranging for childcare, securing reservations or tickets. Relational might also be gift giving. Each partner assumes that responsibility for their own families. Now, here's another important part. The reason for transferring ownership isn't so that one partner has nothing to do and the other one all of a sudden has all the things to do and is feeling overwhelmed. By transferring full ownership, the noticing, the planning, and the executing, that allows you to have mental space for other priorities, for personal growth, maybe for making it through your busy season at work. And before we get into the actual scripts that could be used to transfer ownership, here's something to keep in mind. If you're thinking, my partner's already maxed out, how can I transfer more to them? That's a really good question. Real distribution isn't about dumping your load, your overload, onto their overload. It's about both of you looking at your full plates and asking, what can we drop? What can we delegate outside of the family, or what can we simplify? Maybe that means outsourcing some of the help you need, a house cleaner, lawn care, grocery delivery. Maybe it means letting go of some commitments, saying no to a PTA meeting or request, scaling back work travel, skipping hosting elaborate birthday parties. Maybe it means simplifying standards, frozen meals some nights, kids doing some of the chores, good enough on most things instead of perfect. Partnership equity doesn't mean you're both drowning equally. It means you're both ruthlessly protecting your capacity so you can show up for what matters most, including each other. There's one other thing I want to mention that's really important about transferring full ownership of some domains to your partner. And that is that your kids get to experience different approaches, and they get to see that both parents can help them run their lives, keep them safe, get them to where they need to be on time with the various supplies that they need. Not only does this contribute to the happiness within your partnership relationship, but it's a really good thing for kids to witness and experience. And it ultimately helps shape the kind of partner that they will be someday. Okay, so what are some possible scripts to actually start setting this transfer of ownership in motion? So the first script can actually be about the need to want to discuss this. So you might say something like, I want to talk about transferring full ownership of a kid or household domain to you. I'm overwhelmed and I'm starting to feel resentful of you, which isn't good for our relationship. Your partner says, what does transferring full ownership actually mean? You explain. It means I'm not reminding you, planning it, or managing it. You own it completely. The outcome is the one we agreed upon, this particular minimum standard. However, how you get there is up to you. And if it's your domain, then I don't get to comment on it as long as you reach the outcome. How you do it is up to you. Here's another script. What happens if you're getting lots of questions as you're trying to make this transfer? Your partner might say, what time should we leave for soccer? Your response is, you own soccer now. What do you think? They might ask, should I pack snacks? You could say, what do you think the kids need? Your partner might ask, where's the sunscreen? You, I don't know. Let me know if you need help finding it after you've looked. What's really key here is that when your partner asks help, you resist. This is part of them learning to develop their system and you learning to let go of control and perfectionism in this particular domain. So here's a question, and be honest. How hard will it be for you to resist answering their questions during that first week? Drop easy or hard in the chat. As a recovering people pleaser, it was hard for me. Sometimes it's still hard for me, but it's a really great skill to practice. And quite honestly, it's something that you need to do for your kids as well. They will use you as their answer key, just like your partner might want to in this process of transferring ownership, unless you push back a little bit and encourage them to problem solve for themselves. Okay, seeing a lot of hearts, just like me. And if you're watching the replay, be sure to answer this for yourself. Okay, so here's some typical pushbacks you might receive. Number one, but I don't know how to do it the way you do it. You can answer, that's okay. You'll figure out what works best for you. Remember, we've agreed upon the minimum standard outcome. Just hit that, and that's all that matters. Pushback number two, but it's just faster if you tell me. It's faster this week, but if I keep managing it, you never build the system. By week 3 and 4, this will be easier. Pushback number 3. This just feels like you're testing me. You can respond, I'm not testing you. I'm transferring ownership. It's a lot to keep track of, and we need to fairly share kid and household responsibilities so that no one feels resentful. So what happens when you let natural consequences play out? For example, they forget soccer gear, your partner's problem solves it. Bedtime runs late, your partner gets to deal with the tired kid next day. Kids wear a mismatched outfit to school, the kid is fine. Who knows? Maybe they start a new fashion trend. So here's what the timeline of this can look like. Weeks 1 and 2, it's messy, admittedly. It's challenging. There are lots of questions, possibly even frustration. But by weeks 3 and 4, your partner's building systems. There are fewer questions. You're learning to let go of control and can see the value in different approaches that your kids are experiencing. By months 2, 3, your partner is a competent owner. In fact, they may even have uncovered some hidden talents that neither one of you knew existed. Importantly, you are no longer the manager. You're no longer carrying the mental load of that particular domain. So here's the final question today. Are you ready to let natural consequences happen during weeks 1 and 2, even if it's uncomfortable, even if your partner is upset? Drop ready or not yet in the chat. Whether you said ready or not yet, both are honest. This is hard work for both of you. Again, it's not just you dumping onto your partner. It's growth for both of you. Okay, so here's what I want you to remember. Communication changes what someone knows to do, not who's responsible for remembering it needs to happen or how to do it. It's not a communications problem. It's a systems problem. Real distribution of mental load equals transferring full ownership, noticing, planning, executing. And that framework needs before it's going to be successful, it needs a minimum standard of care determined for the domains that are being transferred. It's really helping everybody know what success looks like and how we'll know if you hit it. And that's a very common process we go through as we manage and lead teams. We let people know what success looks like and how we'll know if it's reached. That's really what minimum standard of care is. So you're going to agree on the outcome and you're going to let go of the method. Also want you to remember weeks 1 and 2 are going to feel messy. Somebody may even throw in the towel and say, I give up, but keep pushing through. Resist taking over and help build capacity in your partner so that by weeks 3 and 4, systems are being built. And then a few months down the road, there's competent ownership and you have been relieved of some of the mental load you've been carrying, and you now feel that your partnership is more equitable and fair, and you have time and energy to devote to other things that are important to you or to the family or to work, but you're at a more sustainable pace. So here's the choice. Which timeline do you want? Option 1, another year where you're the default parent and home manager, carrying the mental load alone, waking up 3 a.m., feeling like you're failing everywhere. If you haven't experienced that, it's a miserable feeling. I've been there. Or option 2, 8 weeks of discomfort, redirecting questions, letting natural consequences happen, resisting the urge to manage. That creates genuine partnership. One of the things that I've been focusing a lot on since the beginning of 2026 is the concept, no matter what action I take, time is going to pass. So I have a choice as to what actions do I want to take while that time is going to inevitably pass. So if you're ready to go deeper on this, I invite you to join my free community, Rebalance You, where overwhelmed achievers start becoming energized leaders. In my free community, you'll get the full replay of this training, and you'll get an additional training called the Power Hour System, which is to help you reclaim 1 hour of focused energy daily to invest in yourself or your well-being. And also, you'll get a community of working parents just like you who are rejecting the burnout culture. So if you're interested and you're here live, drop energy in the chat and I will send you the link to join the community. If you're watching the replay, go to school, SKOOL.com/rebalance-you-jumpstart/about. Start having these conversations this week. Don't wait for the perfect time. There isn't one. And as I noted, time is going to pass. So you might as well take some kind of action. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you next Tuesday for my next Rebalance You Live.